you also put some time into a different, well, not, I'm going to say roguelike as if like Silk Song's a roguelike, but it's not. But
Yeah,
another 2D action game.
I'll talk about it very briefly because I want to give it a proper um segment and the love it deserves. But I've been playing, and I'm sorry I don't have footage for it. I've been playing the Rogue Prince of Persia, which it it didn't. I mean, it shadow dropped as in like, hey, it's out now today on Game Pass. But the game has been in early access prior to that for like a year.
I think about a
Yeah,
year, yeah.
yeah. So it's one of those things when I think what is the game that came out last year? Also a Metroidvania, Prince of Persia. Very good, underrated.
Oh, Lost Crown, wasn't it?
Yeah, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Really, really good game. Go play that game. But what I'm getting is that game came out, and then soon after, it's like, oh, there's a new Prince of Persia. I was like, what are these people doing? Like, we've just had a Prince of Persia. What I didn't realize is that it's like it's a roguelite. Prince of Persia was in early access. Now it's come out day one in Game Pass, and I think starting the game up, I was like, like it's okay, it's fine. But the more I've played it, the more I've realized I'm like, shit, this is a really, really well designed, good game. And I think a lot of it comes down to how they've retained. Like, if I say to you Prince of Persia, I'm sure one of the first things you'll think of is like, Prince of Persia is about like the movement, the acrobatics, how the prince is very agile and moves around. And they've managed to retain that in a roguelite in a very interesting way. In that I'm really sorry I don't have footage because it's difficult to explain like simply. But if you imagine it's a 2D side-scrolling roguelite, okay? If you imagine like you're running along a plane, whatever, and typically like there'll be a background, like, oh, you can see the palace in the background, whatever. But in this game, you'll see certain points there's walls that are like at the forefront almost with you. And they've integrated that into the movement and the acrobatics of the game where sometimes there's no walls, sometimes there are, but you can like run up the wall, for example, to get to different platforms and stuff. And it's just so cool how they've strung it together where it's a roguelite, but they've integrated some very fun parkour and platforming into it where it's like, okay, cool. You can jump up, run along this wall, do a dash, run along another wall and land. And it's just, initially I was like, it feels a bit weird, but when you get into it, it reminds me so much of Dead Cells in how its structure is, where it's the same thing where you run along a level and you get to a point like, oh, you can exit into this other level or go this way. There's like a branching thing. But the difference is that in Dead Cells and the Prince of Persia is that there's just this movement now where you can run along walls and parkour your way through, and it just feels very good to do. It's just fun, and that's what makes it stand out for me. It's got the typical staples of, you unlock permanent currency, which you can use to unlock permanent upgrades, more health, more potions, whatever. But structurally, it's very much that.
Yes.
But the twist for me is just this movement, and that gives it this other just difference to games like Dead Cells, and it feels good to play. I want to talk about it more, but I want to have footage to accompany me, and I want to like roll credits where I like do a deep dive into it. But the long and the short of it is that it's a very, very well designed roguelite. And I don't know, is it just me? Does it feel like Prince of Persia is just like, it's this renowned like franchise, but it feels like the last few years has just been underrated. Like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of gets to the limelight, but it doesn't like stay there. I don't know if that's just
it disappeared for a very long time after that. So that there was that sort of like pseudo reboot that was all like cell shaded and completely different prints and different story that I really enjoyed, but didn't really do so well. And then I think straight after that, they did like a more traditional Prince of Persia that was almost like a tie-in for the really movie. Terrible film. And then after that, there was just nothing. They had the announcement of the remake of the first one, which is still like in limbo. It got like rebooted and all of that. And in between that announcement and now, we've had The Lost Crown, which came out. Everyone seemed to have loved that, but the studio shut down because apparently it didn't sell well. And now we've got
just criminal, actually.
Yeah, it is criminal. It's and then we've got Rogue Prince of Persia, which is almost like like Ubisoft licensed it out to the. It's weird. It's the developers of Dead Cell Dead Cells, but it's not the original creators of Dead Cells, because I don't know if you know, like, I think I always get confused, but I think it's Motion Twin were the original creators of Dead Cells, and then they kind of like handed it off to another developer to continue developing it when they were like, we're kind of done with it, we want to move on to something new. And it's that studio who like continually added content to Dead Cells, put out a lot of those expansions. They're the ones who've done the Rogue Prince of Persia.
Okay.
And
that makes a lot of sense.
Motion Twin, the original ones, they're working on Windblown, I think is the other sort of like roguelike. So it's like two different studios, but when people say the creator of Dead Cells or the developers of Dead Cells, it could mean two entirely different teams. And so that one that did a lot of good post-launch work on Dead Cells are the ones who've made this one.
Evil Empire.
It makes sense that they've nailed Evil Empire. That's the one.
I had no idea.
They're the ones I think they are a good fit for this sort of game. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because honestly, when I think of Rogue, and swear to God, had no prior knowledge of this. Honestly, when I'm playing Rogue Prince of Persia, that's why I use the example. Like, it reminds me so much of Dead Cells, but with the Rogue Prince, like with the Prince of Persia twist and the movements.
Yes.
That is so interesting. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. To be clear, Rogue Prince of Persia looks nothing like Dead Cells in terms of animation, art style. It's like completely different. Although, man, there's so many similarities now that I think about it. Structurally,
the way you're describing it, it makes it seem like it's more movement and parkour focused rather than Dead Cells. I felt was very combat focused.
Yeah. No, it's the parkour is definitely a focus here.
Okay,
but that's so weird. Sorry. Because even in terms of exploring a map, Dead Cells was a similar thing. Remember in Dead Cells, if you're running along a map, it's like you run along, a lot of the maps feel like you had to go down to like a pit.
Yes.
And then, it's like a dead end, but you teleport back up and you carry on. Rogue Prince of Persia has that as well. And the whole time I've been playing, I'm like, this reminds me so much of Dead Cells. And like, it's not a clone of Dead Cells, to be clear. But there's definitely like a feel to it, like a DNA that has so much similarity. I had no idea it was like the spin-off developer, whatever you want to call them. And that's not a bad thing. Like, the fact that it feels like Dead Cells is actually a really big compliment. Like, I love Dead Cells, played a lot of Dead Cells.
Oh yeah, it's like one of the best roguelites ever made. So I mean, if it can recapture that, then all the best to them. And I think that sets up Rogue Prince of Persia to be another great game going forward as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about it more. There's like a story, there's a narrative that I'm trying to close the loop on. And I imagine like I'll roll credits, but there'll be a lot of post-game content I can do. But I just want to like see that through, because I think it's a really, really great game. But
yeah,
I feel that Prince of Persia just gets a bad rap, man. Like, this game's out, but who's going to remember it in a year with Silksong, the Hades 2, and all these other big games that have come out around it? And the same with The Lost Crown last year. Like, honestly, one of the best games I played last year, but it launched in like Jan or Feb, beginning of the year, just forgotten. It's a really phenomenal game. Studio closed down. Sin. The game was so good, and more people should play it.